Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Tom Matt Show. I am your host, Tom Matt. Thank you, Sandy, for doing the bumper, bringing us back. Nutritionally Refiring. We're calling this one with my bro, Chris Johnson, King, legend in the mid-Michigan area. Well, legend all over the country. He has spoken so many different places. We got all kinds of things that we want to talk about. But before I go there, I got to give a quick testimonial again to Brock and his team over there because he's helped us so much with things. This is a quick one, so just hang in there. I'm going to get back to Chris real quick. Brock Fletcher and the selling team have been absolutely stellar in giant bold type. You have our business for life. That's from Jeff and Tammy and DeWitt. Here's another one. Our experiences with Brock Fletcher and the selling team was amazing. Numerous times Brock Fletcher went above and beyond, bold type, to ensure our needs were met. Not only did the selling team sell our home in 4 days, sounds like big household to me. They also helped us and find our dream home. Sounds like Little House Lansing in a weekend. So glad we chose the selling team. That's from Eric and Laura in Lansing. There's just hundreds. He's got more positive reviews on Google. He's got like 600 positive reviews on, that's a lot, on Google. It just says a lot about their integrity. They're just good people. Again, phone numbers. I'm going to give you the cell phone number first. Use this number. Text Brock, leave him a voicemail, whatever you want to do. 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262. And the office number again is 517-853-6408. I'm going to say, Joan, I said hello to you in the last break. And here you go again. There you go, Joan. Joan Wright from Williamston. I know you like hearing your name on the radio. Nutritionally Refiring. Joan, this is a good one for you, okay? Because I know you're right there with Chris and I. Nutritionally Refiring. And Joan, if you haven't gone to On Target Living, you need to do that, okay? Chris Johnson, Matt Johnson, great team. All right. I forgot to go back to what you were saying in the first segment there, my brother, about when we were talking, we first met, you were saying, I was just curious. I want to let you carry on with that. I've been talking a lot, and I want you to kind of carry the rest of the show for me. But when you have a curious mind, what happens?
Well, again, we always talk about beginner's mind. If you're speaking to a third grade class and you ask them some questions, every hand will go up. But as we become adults, many times we start losing that curiosity for a lot of different reasons. But, no matter what area you're in your life, when you go to see your primary care doctor or your financial advisor, but the more curious you are, the more questions you ask, in the question reveals the answer. And that's where the dialogue starts getting, and you're like, oh, I never thought of that before. So when I sit down with people and talk to them about nutrition many times, I have to start uncovering and really talk about curiosity at the very beginning. So, for example, if my cholesterol is out of balance, you got to ask the question, why? What's causing that? Or if I am not sleeping or my energy level's low or whatever it might be, you start asking the why and what's behind it. And then from there, you go into the beliefs, because a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. And once you uncover those two, now we can start getting somewhere and then really start talking about strategies and tactics to help people on their journey because everybody's in a different place. And I always talk about that. Growing up, I was not a healthy eater, but as I changed when I was eating, my skin got better, my digestion got better, and that was kind of my aha moment going into. And so that's why I was really excited to talk to you because you went to school later in life, as I did. I went to grad school a little bit later. But as you get that curiosity, then everything's possible. And I think that's what people understand, no matter what age you are, you always can improve. And that's what I always tell people. It's a journey and then you try to make it your own. I think that's where people get stuck. Like, I'm trying this diet and that. Well, it's not going to last because it's not your own and it's not what you want to do. So that's kind of where I begin with people, the curiosity, the beliefs, and then we get into the tactics and strategies and where they're currently at, and then what are some of the next steps.
What's your feelings with you mentioned Ozempic and some of those drugs that are out there, and I have my own kind of thought on this, and I talked to Justin Grinnell about this on one of the shows I did with him, and personally, I have my feelings, but I'd like to hear your take on that and some of those because I think they can be useful in a way, but I want to hear your take before I give you my
Yeah,
spin.
so my whole, I'm not an anti-medication person. I think medications can fit a role, but 90% of what we take from a medication standpoint is fixing the symptom. You have a headache, you take ibuprofen, or, reality is you're probably dehydrated and lacking magnesium. If my blood pressure is too high, your nervous system's out of balance and you're lacking certain nutrients. So my way as a private investigator, I'm like, let's just step back for a second. If you are medicated, not asking anybody to get off of medication, but let's look at it a little differently. And maybe one of your goals is you want to wean. I've never had anybody not get off a statin medication, working with their doctor if they want to do that. So to me, whether it's Ozempic and Wegovy and all these different diabetes medications, diabetes is not only preventable, it's reversible. But it's pretty easy to go down that path, and so that drug might be beneficial for somebody in extreme cases. My thing is in our society, as you know, that when you start doing this, you create paralysis in the gut, you start losing muscle. And as we age, the thing we want to hold on to or improve upon is muscle. And that's where these drugs are going to get sideways, in my opinion, down the road. So, extreme cases, yes. But to me, I have seen it. I've seen people who take their A1C from over 10 to, under 7. And I've seen it do it naturally. So I believe that it's possible to do it. And I believe it's possible to do it in a sustainable way. But as we're seeing it in the world today, whether it's TRT and Ozempic and whatever, it could be a path, but to me, it's too easy, and so people will choose that path. And reality is, when you choose easy, it's going to get hard. If you choose hard, it's going to get easier. And that's why I like when I'm seeing you with your knee replacement, I see the stuff you're putting out there. You're putting in the work.
It's a grind.
There's really no other choice if you want to get to where you want to be. So anyway, that's my feeling on some of the medications out there. Fixing the symptom, not fixing the source of the problem, could be a tool, but it's not where people begin.
It's exactly very, very close to what my feelings are with this, probably because I learned all this stuff from Chris and then continued to learn and continue to learn. My feeling on this is similar to what Chris was just saying. In extreme cases, if it can be a catalyst to that next thing for you,
Sure.
but that's it. I mean, that's it. It's just a tool, but you got to put in the work, everybody. You got to put in the work. Chris,
And you got to get a little uncomfortable, as you said. You got to put the work in, get a little uncomfortable. But it's like you and I when we competed in bodybuilding. It's uncomfortable, but it's really a pretty exciting journey.
I looked at that picture. I have a picture framed in our house in Wisconsin, and I posted it on our story on Facebook the other day. And it's just like, it's 15 years ago, my once and only with Chris Johnson. It was such an experience. Chris got us in there. Reggie was there. It was so awesome. And it just proved that, yeah, you climb these mountains, everybody. And that's the thing. I was a rookie with Chris Johnson, never done this before, rookie at just about 51 years old. It's just amazing. Chris, I only got about a minute to go before break.
Yeah.
But when we come back, I want to talk a lot about the food target, because the food target it was the beginning of the whole thing. Can you set that up, please?
Yeah, so when I worked at the Michigan Athletic Club, I was a director of health and fitness, and we had one of the largest personal training programs in the country. And this was back in the 90s and early 2000. But people were struggling with diets, and everybody's on a diet. And I was working with one of my mentors, Al Arns, and we were talking one day, and I was like, I was developing this like stoplight with the target, and so we started morphing with that, and we looked at, how do you get people to upgrade? Here's the red area, which is kind of foods that are not healthy for you, and then the green are the go. And so we started morphing with that, and then that led to, we kind of had different editions of it, and then it was a simple tool that people could start understanding how to upgrade versus making it more difficult. So that's the genesis of the food target in 1994.
We'll talk about it when we come back, everybody. It's a lot more detailed than that, but it's something that you could just put on a refrigerator. We had ours on a refrigerator for years. Our guest today are going to reset this, and we're going to go to break. Chris Johnson, the founder of On Target Living, Kingpin, great guy. Great guy. Nutritionally ReFiring. We're always going to be refiring, everybody. Join the club, because if you're retiring, fine. If you're refiring, wonderful. This is the Tom Hatch Show. Welcome back, everybody. Excited. Great show today. I love having Chris Johnson on the show. I'll do my best to get him on more. If you want to see more of Chris Johnson, Matt Johnson, go to their podcast. Chris will tell you all about it right here because I'm going to have him share all of his contact info. You want to get him for speaking engagements, some coaching, maybe some personal training, whatever he's doing, because we're always refiring. We're always like regrouping. We're always trying new things. I'm doing it. It's always fun. How do you want people to contact you and Matt there, Chris? What's the lowdown?
Well, I think the easiest thing, as you mentioned, Tom, is just go to our website, which is on targetliving.com. We also have a podcast that comes out every week, and the podcast is titled, which the name of the book is Rest, Eat, Move. So if anybody wants to reach out to us, we have a free audio. All of our videos are free, podcasts are free. And this is my latest book, Rest, Eat, Move, which is about 365 pages. And the audiobook, again, if you send us an email at ontarliving.com. We'll send you the audiobook, and it's 13 and a half hours of my voice. So, and as we were mentioned earlier, this is the food target. And so this is the free download on our website. On the back side is the movements. But again, as I started talking about this at the very beginning, it was just a tool, as you mentioned, to help people understand whether it's a third grader or somebody's very sophisticated, you're just trying to upgrade. And I think people like that. You know, when I speak around the world and I'm telling them what to eat or not to eat, I'm telling them, what are you currently doing and how do you make it better? And people like that thought process. So if you talked about coffee earlier, if you do drink coffee, then you probably want to buy organic and coffee. And if you put a creamer in it, buy a better creamer. So that's really the genesis behind the target. And it's forgiving. People have to understand it's not about being perfect. It's about slowly upgrading and be forgiving about it. So anyway, that's the genesis behind the target, and that's the name of our company. What was named basically from the food target. So I met a branding guy, and that's how we all began. But if they want to get a hold of us, just go to our website, ontarliving.com. You'll see our e-commerce. If you want to order cod liver oil or wheatgrass or whatever, we have an amazing e-commerce manager named Abby. You can actually pick up the phone and talk to her or talk to me or Matt. So we're very accessible. And that's really one of our goals is to help people any way we can.
They're good people. They're good people. I mean, they're real. That's the whole thing. All right. So let's describe the food target for our radio people. And that Chris was, for our radio listeners, Chris was holding his food target up, and I want to have him describe it to our radio listeners in detail. So, Chris, let's just start at the top. I mean, just
Yeah.
it's broke into three different components, and it goes from the outside in. It's just a target, everybody.
Yeah. So
So
envision this as it's a big circle, and the red, which is the pour, is in the outer rim. And then I go to a slightly more kind of a yellowish color. And that's
give us some examples. Give us some examples of those foods. Like, talk about fats in the red zone, Chris.
well, in the red zone, might be like a Jif peanut butter. It's a trans fat, very unhealthy, or seed oils. You know, people talk a lot about corn oil and canola oil, whatever. That's going to be the outer rim. So it's broken into three macronutrients, carbohydrates at the top, and then we have fats and proteins. So if you took a fat and you said, okay, how do I make that better? Well, you know, I like peanut butter, Chris. Well, let's not eat the processed hydrogenated trans fat. We can slowly move to the center, or maybe we move into an almond or a cashew butter. So now we keep moving towards the center, and I'm not getting rid of anything. I'm just making it better. If I'm eating over here in the proteins, they're no different. If I'm eating a hot dog or a bacon, maybe I go to a nitrate-free bacon. Maybe move in a little bit, but then we move into the middle, and you got wild Alaskan salmon and organic chicken and nuts and seeds and things like that. So that's what it's broken down into three macronutrients, and then you're just slowly taking a look at what, and it's amazing. People say to me at the beginning, well, what about this food? I said, well, I can't fit every food in the target, but you get a gist, fruits, vegetables, or ancient grains. Those are going to be more in the center of the carbohydrates, and the same thing with proteins and fats. So it's just a tool to help people be more intentional about how they eat. And again, it's funny because many of the kids will say to their parents, hey, you're eating in the red area. So they become the food police, and they're saying, hey, I need to eat more in the green area. So anyway, that's on our website. It's a free download. You can get a feel for that if you're listening to the radio.
It's just the whole thing, everybody. It's so simple. I gotta say, because when we were over in Wisconsin this past week, Lauren, our youngest daughter, she's 28 now. She's little by little, it's kind of interesting to see how these young people start making their own decisions, and she's eating better slowly, like Chris is saying. It's very, very gradual. We want this to be we incremental change, everybody,
Yes.
right,
Yes.
Chris? Sustainability.
We
How do we
always,
keep it?
that's one of our taglines, one small step at a time. The goal is you're trying to build habits that you can repeat. And we talk a lot about that. Like if you go from being in the red area and then you try to go right to the green, it's going to be very difficult. But if you can slowly transition that way, like your Lauren is, then you're going, okay, that's not that painful. And so that's the key. We're trying to create a lifestyle, not a diet. And that's the genesis behind the food target. You're just incrementally making some upgrades. And I look back, probably like you and me both. You went to Everett, I went to Sexton. I thought eating you know, Captain Crunch cereals with the Crunch Berries was not that bad. And that was probably in high school. So today it's, oatmeal on the run with cacao nibs and coconut and, it's a lot different. Wheatgrass in the morning, cod liver oil, a lot different than back in the, early 70s and what we're eating today.
I just thought of something here with because we both went to high school about the same time. We're very close in age. If we would have had the food target, if we would have known in the 70s what we know now, would we be bigger kids? Would we be, would you get hurt as much? Because you're right. I mean, if there was Captain Crunch in the cupboard, it was gone. I mean, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
just gone.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like when I was at Sexton, we could go out for lunch. You could go
Mhm.
to McDonald's or Burger King.
Yep.
But all of us that played football and sports, we all ate the cafeteria meal, which was so much better. And the lunch ladies, again, being biased here, but they were lunch ladies, and we knew them like our mom, and they were incredible. And that was all homemade stuff. So even though we didn't really know what we're doing, at least we're eating homemade. And my daughter Kristen always says, if you eat more at home, that's half the battle right there. So we didn't know what we were doing, but we were eating our lunches in the cafeteria at Sexton way back in the day, and we loved it.
Talk about Kristen a little bit with her expertise and things that she says. She's a wonderful chef, and talk about her for a second. We got a few minutes to go here because this it fits into our nutritionally refiring. She's helped a lot of people with what she's done.
Yeah, so Kristen is my daughter. It's Matt, my son and my daughter. They're twins, and Kristen's a professional chef. She's a registered dietitian, and she worked at Ontario Living for a handful of years, and then she became the governor of Michigan's personal chef for a couple of years, and then her family moved back to Chicago, and that's where their family is now. They have three kids, her husband Sean. But as they moved back to Chicago, she went to work for a private group that sells high-end kitchen appliances and stuff like that. So she's a professional chef then. But the good news for us is Matt is bringing her back as a speaker starting in January. So we're really excited about bringing her back as one of the speakers at the beginning of the year. But yeah, my wife just got back from Joshua Tree out in California. She did a yoga retreat. She did all the meals for them, and that's her expertise. And she does a lot of women's events. She's a very dynamic speaker. But yeah, we're really excited to have her back. But yeah, her skill is food prep, food, all that stuff on top, and she brings the dietitian healthiness to it. But she's bringing my wife's taste to it. So it's kind of marrying the two together, which really, when we talk about food, food is love, food is social, but food is medicine and information for the human body. And when you pair basically those four, that's a home run.
I like that a lot. So okay, so say that again because we're going to go to break here in about a minute. Food is love.
Food
What
is
were the
love, food is social. My wife's Lebanese, been married 43 years. So if you just took all that away, the love and the social, it's not going to work. Because we know parties and weddings and graduations and everything's around social and love. And then for me and you, we're like, we don't really care. We just want fuel. But food is also medicine and information to the body. And when you pair those four together, and that's the home run. So when Kristen makes nutrition foods, or Matt or my wife Paula, she knows I want the health, but we also want the taste. So when you do that together, when people say like we'll bring them over and we'll have them have certain meals, and they're like, those pancakes you made, what's in those? Well, we had organic applesauce and real oats, and real bananas, and everything's real, and there's nothing unhealthy for it. And then we get maple syrup from Mason. It's kind of a home run. So that's where I think people look nutritionally. You have to be so militant, and it doesn't have to taste good. When you pair those four together, that's the success, in my opinion.
He is Chris Johnson. He is the founder of On Target Living, calling this one Nutritionally Refiring. I'm Tom Matt, and this is the Tom Matt Show. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. I want to thank radio stations all over the state. Michigan Talk Network, for one thing. Steve and Ivy Gruber for carrying us on the Michigan Talk Network for like ever. I mean, it's been a long time now. But there's stations that have carried us in the past. I like to mention the stations that have carried us, even if they don't carry us. I don't care. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be on any radio station. And so all of these stations I'm going to mention have carried us at some time or are still carrying us. WGHN 92.1 in Grand Haven, WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing, plays us multiple times on weekends. WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids carried us for years and years and years. WKLQ 1490 AM in Muskegon, Whitehall. WYPV 94.5 up in Mackinac City. And of course, 5 o'clock Sunday afternoons, just like Joan Wright's listening to all the time, every week, WKAR AM 870, the big flamethrower at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 870 and 103, simulcast at 102.3 FM. There you go. Okay. There you go. There you go. There you go. Thank you to all the radio stations. Chris Johnson's our guest today, everybody. Nutritionally Refiring. I wish I could have this show this is one of my Joe Rogan moments when I'd love to do like a 4-hour podcast with my great friend, Chris Johnson, because we're rolling so hard and we'll be done so quickly. It's like, but I have more to talk about. Chris, you were just talking about those 4 items. Food is love, social, medicine, information. I just found that I don't think I'd ever heard that before. And I've got huge right in the middle of my notes here. And I'd love for you to kind of explain that. You were talking a little bit about epigenetics during break. Please explain that a little bit deeper for everybody. Would you please?
Yeah, so when people think of nutrition, you got two camps. I want this to taste really good, and then I want to be super healthy. Well, okay, what if you could have both? So the
Exactly.
love and the social is okay, you're making food, it's social, it's love, it's all that stuff. But then can we make it healthier? Because food is, medicine for the body, no doubt about it. When you give omega-3 fats, you B vitamins and that's medicine. That's the raw material for the body to the mind and body all connected. Gut health, you talk a lot about that and stuff. And then
Mhm.
it's information. And we talk about epigenetics, which is above genetics. People say all the time, well, I got bad genetics. Well, I probably disagree because your behavior trumps genetics. So that's called epigenetics, and that's information. So when you put those four together, love, social, medicine, and information, now you're kind of singing. And so now my body is doing what I want it to do, but I'm not giving up anything. I'm just, and my wife will tell you if, his last supper would be probably XYZ and it's not eating a bunch of crap. So I think when people slowly move that, and you know this too, as you eat healthy, your taste buds start to change. That Jif peanut butter when I grew up on, it tastes like sugar now. It just doesn't taste good at all. So that's where we start transitioning. And like your daughter, Lauren, it's just a slow transition. And that's really the magic of when you teach people how to fish. And that's what we're trying to talk about today.
The blue zones, if you read this, my guest today, everybody, is Chris Johnson, founder of On Target Living. Nutritionally Refiring is the title of this episode. 15th time he's been on this radio show. He's been with us all along, the whole time. I mean, he's helped me before I was a personal trainer, and that was 15 years ago. So there you go. But, Chris, I've read so much. Talk about the blue zones. The blue zones, one of the big factors of the blue zones, and this is, if you don't know, and Chris will explain what the blue zones are, is like one of the big things of the blue zone people that are successful with their aging, their pockets all over the world that they call the blue zones. And they're people, and they were studied these people like, what, how are they living so long? And they're so healthy and they're so robust and they're working, they're active. It was the eating, it was the social that you were talking about, the Mediterranean, the Mediterranean kind of thought process, right? Can you talk about the blue zones?
Well, the blue zones, as you mentioned, are pockets around the world. And what they really were looking at is that people that lived a certain lifestyle wasn't genetics. That's the whole thing about blue zones. Once they live in this pocket and they adopted these healthy lifestyles, they live longer. And they're not only living longer, they're living vibrantly. I mean, if you ever watch any of that stuff, look at it, and you see these guys riding horses or women doing this and that, it's incredible. So to me, I think as people age, it's not about just aging, it's about vibrancy. I mean, you and me both, I still want to snow ski and water ski, but that's where nutrition comes in. Jack LaLanne always said that, nutrition is the queen and exercise is the king. I would kind of reverse that. I would look at nutrition as king, exercise as queen. I would reverse that a little bit because when you think about nutrition, it's still in the infancy stage. We don't really understand that, but when you look at food as medicine and information, wow, we start putting it together. And I've seen transformations. You've seen transformations when people start changing this stuff. So, but you got to do it in a way that people want to move in that direction. And I think that's the challenge in our society today. They think they either have to eat all this that they think tastes good, but it's not healthy. And the reality is you can have both.
Well, it's starting with the food target, and again, download that food target. It's a freebie, everybody. But you don't want to jump from the red outside of the food target to the green of the middle. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable whatsoever.
It'd be
So
a shock. So again, you have access to our audio. Again, shoot us an email. We can send you. And in fact, Tom, I can send it to you too for your posse, and I can give you everybody the audio book
love it.
you guys can have. So
I appreciate that. I
yeah.
wanted to give Chris plenty of time. We were talking throughout the show on break, and he had something that he wanted to share with us. I want to give him plenty of time to discuss these things as a takeaway. So we're going to do a giant takeaway because Chris Johnson has helped us so much. He knows his stuff. I mean, he is the man. And that's it. The 5 things. He had 5 things that he wanted to share. You got a good 5 minutes here, bro. We'll talk about that. Let's go for it. What
Okay.
were those 5 things you'd like to talk about?
When I sit down with people, you want to make it simple. Like, how do I make this simple walking away? So number one today is focus on what you drink. Just be intentional about it. How much water are you drinking? 50 ounces a day is the minimum. People say half your body weight. Just start with, are you drinking 50 ounces a day? And look at what other beverages you consume. You talked about coffee earlier, whatever, but just really be intentional about what are you drinking? Energy drinks are off the table. If you're drinking soda pop, start limiting that. There's lots of ways you can improve that, like a mineral water with a shot of juice. But that's where I begin. Water with lemon is incredible for gut health, pH balance. But start with your beverages and make sure you're getting your water. That's where we begin. Start with your water, make sure you're getting enough. Then from there, we look at what nutrients are you missing. So when I sit down with people, the first thing I look at, are you consuming omega-3 fats? That's the cod liver oil. That's the flax seeds. That's the walnuts. Don't make it harder than that. Get that in your diet. It's good for brain health, heart health, inflammation, hormones. Then from here, on top of the other superfood we recommend is get some chlorophyll in your diet. That's greens. That could be bok choy, spinach, kale, broccoli, asparagus. We would like to promote, as you mentioned, wheatgrass, spirulina crulla. Get greens. So I go, what am I drinking? What superfoods am I missing? The omega-3s and the chlorophyll, the greens. And then from there, number 3, we start looking at upgrading what you currently are eating. Pull out that food target. Whatever you're eating or drinking or whatever, how do I make that better? How do I upgrade it? Make it better. Okay. Number 4, I want you to fast 12 to 14 hours overnight. It's not hard. We don't have to do intermittent fasting. That can be great if you know what you're doing, but that's something you need to know what you're doing. But everybody can fast overnight, 12 to 14 hours. That's called autophagy, allows the body to clean. And the last one is the 80-20 rule. This is my daughter talks all the time. If you're going out to dinner, you're going out to a party, whatever, just be intentional. If I want a glass of wine, I want the bread with the olive oil, don't just let it go. Be intentional about that. 80% of the time I'm dialed in, 20% of the time I'm letting my hair down. So again, holidays are coming, Halloween's coming, Christmas, Thanksgiving. The goal is you're trying to create a lifestyle that you're not 50-50, you're more like an 80-20. So those are the 5 things I like to teach that people go, hey, I can do that. I can do that. And that's really where you start creating some momentum and then some habit building. And that's really where start people getting excited about that.
One thing we have done, Chris Johnson's our guest today, everybody, nutritionally refiring. One thing we have done, Chris, when we go out for dinner is I never finish my meal anymore. I always take half my meal home and never touch the bread. If they bring bread to the table, I say, I don't need it. Just take it away. I don't even really eat much bread at all anymore. And it's just one of my personal choices, but it's being, like Chris is saying, being intentional, going in there with, once you get used to this, once you understand it, you don't have to eat all that food that's put in front of you.
But like
You
Tom, like you said, you are intentional about taking that food home. You are intentional. If I'm going to eat bread, the only bread I'm going to eat is my wife's or my daughter's sourdough bread. So I'm going to be intentional about that. Or if I want a cocktail or a glass of wine, I'm going to be intentional. Tonight, I'm not, no, I'm not doing that. But if I want that, then there's the guilt zone is gone, right? And I think that's where people get, coming in, I'm good. But if I do wish to do that, I'm enjoying it, and that's really where people get sideways. So I love what you just said there, but I'm intentional about when I go out to dinner.
Chris, give us another just close with your website and everything. And then I got to go because we got a minute to go here. Chris Johnson's been our guest today, Nutritionally Refiring, everybody. Awesome. We'll have him back. Please give me one,
Yeah, so
45.
it's just our website on targetliving.com. We have an audio book that I'll send that to you, Tom. My Rest Eat Move book is 365 pages, of basically my life's work. On our website, we have, and again, you can share this with your audience. We have a bunch of downloads. We have Know Your Numbers. We have the Food Target. We have lots of different things here. Also, we have a phone number. So if you want to call us, that's 517-325-1143. So there's always somebody at the end of the line that you can pick up and talk to. So yeah, we're happy to help you. We're on a mission. I'm in a different season, and feel blessed to have the opportunity to talk with you and your listeners today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you with a topic or a guest like a Chris Johnson on Target Living. I mean, you just heard the master. He's helped me. It's why we're doing so well, why I'm recovering so quickly with my knee replacements, which in 2 days I'm getting the second one done. And it's amazing. And what's going to be happening is my life is changing. It's going to be great. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks again to Chris, Sandy, Craig, Brock, everybody that supports the show. We'll talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Go to On Target Living, OTL. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. We are out. Chris Johnson. If I talk too much about Chris Johnson, I'll start crying. I swear to God, because he's just been so impactful in my life, Sandy's life. So many people across mid-Michigan, across the world. I am not kidding you. The Food Target is where it's at. On Target Living is the real freaking deal, everybody. And I'm trying to not curse as much. I might try New Year's. I can't. Sometimes I just can't help it. Not a curse. It's all for emphasis. But I tell you, I do truly love Chris Johnson because he's helped us so much. And what he's done, food is love, food is social, food is medicine, food is information. I hadn't heard that before. So until next time, everybody, you've been listening to Tom Matt Show, watching the Tom Matt Show, doing that thing. I'm so glad to have you guys around. And thank you so much for putting up with us and listening to us for 15 years. It's awesome. And I hope if you're getting close to the refinement zone, send me a note. Welcome. Just like Joan Wright and Williamston, everybody has a little bit of need for something, and we want to help you get better. Until next time, everybody. Peace out. Love y'all. Have a great day. Been listening to the Tom Matt Show. Please subscribe, do all those good things, and I'm done. Thank you.